Welcome back to the Ceremony Podcast, episode 119. If you guys don't follow us on social media already, at SROnlyPod. Follow our personal pages. Mine is at the Healy6.
And I am iGoose with 4 O's. Go ahead, hit that follow button.
Yeah, make sure if you are listening on a platform, a listening platform like Apple or Spotify as well, you could watch the live video feed on Spotify. Pretty cool that they've added that. I wonder if Apple's going to do that at some point. So if you're a person who likes visually seeing things as well, go to the Spotify. Make sure you leave a 5-star review as well. We'd appreciate that. We had the NFL draft happen this past week. We had some new series start in the NBA and a couple MLB transactions that happened. So Major League Baseball, the rosters got pushed from 28 down to 26 as of May 1st. And some teams had to make some decisions on who's getting sent down or cut. The New York Mets DFA'd Robinson Cano and his $40 million for the year. Steve Cohen doesn't care at all. He wants the best product out on the field. And Cano was the odd man out. His first season coming back after the steroid suspension from last year, 2020. It was a shortened year. He's older. He just doesn't have it anymore. And yeah, the Mets are going to move on. I do have a team that should probably give him a chance. But do you think it was the right move for them to drop $40 million?
Yeah, with how they've started the season so far, with how much hope they've had in the last couple of seasons, bringing in the new owner, who seems like the most fan-friendly owner out of all major sports. The money is an important factor, but I think winning is going to be the most important, and that says a lot. That says a lot from ownership, management. Robinson Cano, as you mentioned, I believe wasn't he suspended the whole season last year for like his fifth steroid offense?
Second time, but yeah, the whole year.
So he gets suspended. Is there potential there? Yes, but when you're winning and you're doing well and he is the odd man out, keep the hot bats, keep the hot gloves out there. I think it was a good move. It was a very good move because at the end of the day, when you want to win, you're going to do what it takes to win regardless, because that 40 mil, regardless if he's playing or not, does not matter at this point when it comes to victories. So baseball is a team sport, and so if he's the odd man out, he's the odd man out. We've seen it with teams with horrible payrolls do really, really well. So if they're out 40 mil, I'm sure they'll be okay.
I do have one team off the top of my head I feel like would be a good fit to try him out. It's a veteran minimum, so it'd be $700,000. You want to guess what team I'm thinking of? Unless you've seen me tweet about it.
I have not.
Okay.
And the only thing I'm thinking of is with somebody like that taking a veteran minimum, he's going to go to a contending team, perhaps, maybe not. So there's a couple teams. There are, trying to think who needs, what is he playing these days? Second base, shortstop?
Second base, first base, DH.
Yeah, so he turned into kind of a utility man. I always feel like somebody like that, so he's been around the block. He's played with the Yankees already. Don't really see him going there, although that was kind of the first thing I was thinking, like veteran, where did they go to chase a championship? I don't know. I really can't even take a guess. I can't. Maybe Minnesota, because they're doing pretty well right now. So
I'm surprised you didn't guess it. There's a team out there that needs a second baseman. They don't really have a guy out there. They're a very right-handed, heavy hitting lineup.
Are you talking about the White Sox right now?
Yep. Yeah, the White Sox.
What are you talking about the White Sox? The struggling White Sox right now.
With Larry Garcia at second base.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They're kind of throwing him there. They've had Harrison as well, who's been kind of okay, and just the team in general, and they're hurt. For the veteran minimum, why not?
And Larry Garcia, he's a switch hitter, so there's that. You have Grandal, who's a switch hitter, and you have like Gavin Sheets, who's a lefty. But majority of the lineup's righty. You have
Yeah,
Abreu, righty. Tim Anderson, righty. Moncada, he's a switch hitter, so that's
he'll
another
be
lefty
coming
bat.
back.
But you
Yeah.
have Jake Berger, Adam Engel, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, a bunch of righty bats in that lineup.
And it's showing, and it's hurting, I should say, early on in the season. It would be, I mean, what can go wrong at the veteran minimum? You're not paying him 40 mil, so, and obviously with the injuries, and I believe Moncada's coming back relatively soon. I know he was
Yeah.
doing some minor league batting. He played in some minor league games. So they'll get him back, which he's a guy who's streaky. He can be hot for about 2-3 months, get cold, but he's somebody that definitely is going to make an impact being a switch hitter. So maybe with him coming back, they don't pull the trigger, but with what the Sox are working with right now and forced to Lurie Garcia, who's batting third in some games, and might be worth a shot.
Yeah, and they do have like Reese McGuire, who's a good defensive catcher. He's another lefty bat. But you might as well have more options. You got to give him a try. 700K. It doesn't work out for a few weeks. Maybe someone goes down. Like, I get Moncada's coming back, but if he was down for, let's say, another month, you give him a try, and if it doesn't work out, you release him. 700,000.
Yeah, and you never know. Change of scenery, sometimes it just clicks with people. So I just don't know. I'd have to look. I would have to look in depth at that roster. If they are cutting down to 26, it makes me wonder who would actually be SOL in that situation, especially with Moncada coming back. Because Adam Engel, who basically plays the outfield, is going to stay. Lurie Garcia, I have a weird feeling they have a good player team relationship. He's been with the ball club for, it seems like, ever, and I feel like they just love him being there. And I don't know, what does he make the cut then? I don't know.
I think they already did make their transactions because people were surprised Jake Berger made it. Not like necessarily surprised he's there, but with him playing third base and being a right-handed bat, he was kind of like he would have been like the odd man out. Yeah, I don't see any of the transaction. Oh, Denny Mendick and Anderson Severino got demoted to AAA.
Okay. So I probably would have made those same moves. As bad as Lurie Garcia is, there's
Yeah.
games where he does step up. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes, especially with the history. Obviously, I'm sure it's not going to happen again, but it's happened twice already. So I'm sure he's going to stay away from the performance enhancing drugs. Or maybe we like that. I don't know. Tony La Russa is kind of out there, so maybe not. I don't know.
The other move that got made is Joe Adell got sent down to AAA. He was like, I don't know if he was the number one prospect in baseball at some point, but he was definitely top 3. He's been the next man up in the Angels outfield. He just hasn't looked good this season. He hasn't played well at the plate in the outfield. It looks like he's never played outfield in his life. I don't know what is going on, but an option to AAA definitely needed with him. And hopefully it's just a refresher to get him back to where he once was. Because it sucks seeing these like super top prospects and you have all this hope for them. You're picturing in your head they're going to play well for like at least 10 years. They could be Hall of Fame cusp. And then they get called up and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this guy is just an average player.
Yeah, he's super young too. There's so much time to develop. He's 23 years old. A lot of guys, it takes them 25, 26, 27 years old before they're hitting that point where they're good enough or in their prime, if you will. Because baseball is one of those sports. This isn't, oh, your key years are 20 to 28, and then you start to, go downhill. Baseball is a little bit different of a sport. I think he'll be okay, but I think the big thing is speaking on the fact that the Angels are playing damn good baseball so far. So I mean, there's obviously room for improvement, but I mean, if he's not performing with a team, that's same thing with the Mets. You gotta go with the odd man out, with the weak man out. This isn't really. If they were the opposite, if they were last place and 12 games under, then sure, you let the young guy develop a little bit through the majors. But when you have a team that's contending and you have Trout that's healthy, you have Otani that's doing his thing, and I mean the team's clicking right now. So for the guys that aren't, it's hey, you're gonna get demoted. We'll look. There's injuries. There's always injuries on every team every year. There's not a team that doesn't get hurt, unfortunately. And who knows what happens? August, September, maybe guys get called up and they just get it going. Sometimes that's what it takes.
Yeah, I don't think this stint will be too long in AAA. It's just face some lesser competition. It's more getting back to the basic stuff.
A lot of times it's confidence too.
It's like Byron Buxton. He didn't look great early on in his career. Now he's like a top player in baseball.
Crushing.
Could be a stance change.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Byron Buxton, especially early on in his career, he got sent down to AAA. He only played 28 games in 18. Let's see his minor league stats. There was one year where he played a decent bit of minor league ball. He played 35 games in minor leagues in 2018. 2019, he was there. Was it 17? He played a lot in AAA in 16 as well, but he struggled coming up. And now, yeah, he's looking great. I want him to be great. I want Joe Adell to be great. No doubt about that.
There's time. Byron Buxton's 28 years old. He's actually turning 29 at the end of the year. So it's just one of those things where there's so many prospects with baseball. It's kind of crazy. Baseball's got to be
probably the hardest sport to stay in.
Yeah. The competition with baseball, from what I remember,
it's all about numbers. All about numbers.
Because with basketball, it was always the same guys. Growing up, it was always the same guys that were good at basketball. And with baseball, you're playing different cities. I'm playing so many different cities. And then you go to the camp, you go to summer camp, you have high school, and there's like 50 kids, 60 kids trying out for the team that are all good. But then, obviously with the drafts and whatnot too, that's why the drafts are so much.
And you have guys already in the big leagues. There's only 25 spots or now 26 spots on a team. There's 120 people behind you trying to get your spot.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a bunch of free agents out there that are always constantly looming. You got people playing in Japan that could take your spot next year.
Yeah. Yep. Different countries. Yep.
And if you aren't producing to a certain standard, you're out of the league just like that. It's all about numbers. It's not like you're a good team player. You could play defense.
Just hit 50 home runs, collect a contract, and never be able to hit the ball again. That's all it takes.
And you see the talent change so quickly, too. Like, we have legends like Pujols and Cabrera that have been around the game for so long. But you have guys like Chris Davis, who hit really well to the start of his career, and they got paid, and all of a sudden he couldn't hit a baseball, and now he's out of the league. Jason Hayward, another guy who played really well, earned his contract, and then all of a sudden he's like not great anymore.
Not worth the contract.
So staying at that top tier level is very tough. Getting to that 10-year mark, very tough.
I think that hands down, baseball's got to be the toughest. Probably tougher for pitchers, especially. For batters, you can see 3 at-bats a game, bare minimum.
Yeah.
If you're starting. Pitchers, you're going out there once a week. I mean, yeah, you're throwing all the time, but once pitchers, I feel like pitching's got to be the worst. You might even start, you have guys going to the bullpen that are younger that normally start their whole career. Didn't we see that with Justin Steele? And did he start? He started his whole
He was a starter, and then he came up as a reliever, and then they sent him back down, and now he's a starter.
And now he's a starter again. So that's like one of those things where you just got to keep working and keep grinding. But I feel like, pitchers probably have it the worst.
And also, like, there's a guy I know that plays MLB The Show. His name's Jason Krisen. Plays for the Giants. He played over 1,000 minor league games and finally got called up and got his first hit the other day.
Wow.
So he was in the minors. Yeah, he was in the minors for like 11 years.
How many games do they play a season?
They play like over 100.
It's over 100. So this guy's been in the minors at least almost 10 years, if not
Yeah,
more.
11.
Wow. Finally got his shot.
Yeah, and who knows how long he's actually going to be in the bigs for. Like, not saying he's bad, but like I said, it took him 11 years to get called up. He could get called up just as quickly as he could get demoted.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Just goes to show, and that's something you got to dedicate your life to.
I want to
You don't
know
go
the
work at 90.
average MLB career compared to like football, because football it's like 2.5 years. You need a third year to get like the pension plan or whatever. So if you play 3 NFL seasons, they do that because it's 2.5 average career wise. I want to know what baseball is, because you might think, oh, it has to be easy. We see guys play all the time. You don't realize how many guys get called up for 3 games and never get called up again. Like our guy Tyson Miller, he was on the podcast before. He pitched like 2 or 3 games with the Cubs, and now he's just been in AAA with the Rangers ever since.
Yeah, if you're including minor leagues, not pro, like when they first go like sign that pro contract.
Yeah, minor leagues, they could hang around forever.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're decent enough, it just depends. But major league ball, yeah, that's gonna be tough.
That's a good stat to look up. I'm curious now. We're gonna have that one for the next episode.
With that though, we're gonna move over to let's move over to the NFL. Making a little bit of an audible. We're gonna do NBA. We're gonna do NFL now. Because we were talking about the PEDs earlier with Robinson Cano, the career length. We're going to start off with Deandre Hopkins getting caught with PEDs. And once again, another apology of, I look at what goes into my body. I would never do this. I never know, didn't know about this. When I found out, I was devastated. This can't be a repeated theme.
So I believe this is his first offense.
Yeah.
The
6
irony
games,
with
though.
6 games, the irony with his injuries that he's had, I believe the last couple of seasons, he's missed a couple of games at least. Last season he was hurt, for sure. If you know what's going on, for me, as just a regular guy, I know what's going in my body. I know what I'm taking. If I'm taking vitamins, I know what it is. If I'm working out and I'm taking even something as simple as pre-workout, I know what's going in my body. Why? Because it's my body. I should know. As an athlete, if he's claiming he knows, then he should know what's going in his body. You don't just fail a PED because it was a false positive.
Yeah.
You failed. And I believe that it does fall in whoever is treating him for his injury, whoever he went to, and anybody that, if for some reason he was told different, then that's a problem also. But he's got to have somebody that's reviewing what he's taking. We're talking about a guy that's prolific. This is one of the best receivers, one of the best NFL players in the game. Look at his contract. Who got caught? That's just the reality of it. As much as he'll claim I didn't know I was taking it, as much as a lot of guys will claim I didn't know I was taking it, there is a chance they don't know. But I feel like we're at the point now where we see guys getting in trouble all the time for PEDs. When you're hurt, you got to know. And if he's claiming he knows, then how did he not know this?
Yeah, it's definitely sucks because he has been listed as a top wide receiver in the game. It's going to hurt him. And who knows? We don't know if he's telling the truth or not. And at this point, how long has he been taking this performance enhancing drug, and has it actually affected him to play at better levels or keep him out on the field longer?
It makes you wonder. It's tough. Football, I don't know if there's a PED that'll make your hands as good as what he has. I think a PED's might be stronger, might make you a little bit faster. I guess coordination might come along with that. That's why you can't even Can't even have Adderall out there, right? That focusing medication. So it makes you wonder, and it is definitely going to question his credibility, especially when Hall of Fame time comes around. Because to me, he's been, if he continues at this rate with while being healthy, could be a top 10 receiver of all time, if not be higher up on that list. Especially with some of the catches he's had, some of the game winners. There's a game winner his first year with Arizona. He had a crazy game winner. Kyler Murray, Mr. I'm 5'4", throwing it up to anybody. Deandre Hopkins catches it in a pack like he's Calvin Johnson. And now we're looking at him like, oh shit. Now it makes sense why they made that trade that they made, which we will talk about.
You think they knew about that before, though?
I don't know,
I don't
just the
think
irony
so.
of it. Maybe not. Maybe my assumption was they had to replace Christian Kirk.
Yeah, that's
Christian
what
Kirk's
I'm
gone.
thinking.
They go out, they get Hollywood Brown in a trade, which Hollywood Brown is who people who don't know, Marquise Brown, who is with the Ravens, who had over 1,000 yards, 91 catches last season, 6 touchdowns on a team that, to me, I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's a bad quarterback, but if you put him on a team where you have a more truer quarterback. See, I don't want to down talk Lamar because I would take him like on most teams would want a quarterback like that, should want a quarterback like that. But I feel like you get a quarterback that's very well established in the pocket, that passes, that's known for being a pass first, even though Kyler Murray can run the ball. I think he is going, especially at this point in his career, being a few years veteran now, I think Hollywood Brown is going to step up and be incredible replacement for Christian Kirk, who we saw get a massive contract, I believe, with Jacksonville. And I don't think, I mean, he's a good receiver, but I think Hollywood Brown was a huge pickup. And now the question is, wait, shit, did they know? Because the draft was just this past Thursday. He gets caught, I think, earlier today, last night, something like that. He gets suspended. Yeah, it was yesterday. And now it makes you wonder, did they know? Did they fail? Or did he fail the test and all of a sudden they were just waiting to report it? Who knows? But 6 games is going to be huge. Good thing is he'll be healthy, hopefully. And they have Hollywood Brown.
The Ravens turned that pick into number 23. They also gave up pick like number 100 with him or whatever. And then they turned pick number 23 into number 25 and 130. So they traded back a couple spots, got that pick that they pretty much traded in the Hollywood Brown trade back. So
Kind of a weird trade. Lamar
yeah,
Jackson wasn't happy.
Which is weird because him and Hollywood Brown are boys. It's just, I think wide receiver, it's just plug and play, whatever system you want. Hollywood Brown probably didn't like the system. He's going to like an air raid type system now with Kyler Murray, that Arizona offense.
They drafted a center from Iowa, Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, if they were hurting for a center, I don't know their offensive line that well. But if they're hurting for a center and that's going to protect Lamar and give him more time or open up the run game a little bit, I'm not going to say Hollywood Brown's replaceable, but Lamar Jackson's a pretty damn good quarterback. So I think it's a win-win situation if that's the case.
And they didn't even draft a wide receiver either. They
No,
drafted
safety was pick number
safety, a
14.
center, an edge, a defensive tackle, an offensive tackle, a cornerback, a tight end, a punter, a tight end, a cornerback, a running back.
Very interesting.
And yeah, the Cardinals, they traded for him. Another trade that happened was A.J. Brown went to the Eagles. So Jalen Hurts gets another option wide receiver. It's looking like, did we talk about this last week, the A.J. Brown trade?
I don't recall. I don't think we did. I do
Okay.
not think we did.
I'm trying to figure out the whole timeline with that. Because I feel like we may have, based off of 5 days ago.
Yeah, so it wasn't a full week. It was right before the draft.
Yeah, the
I think
28th.
Wednesday. Oh, that was the day of the draft. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it
then
was.
he agreed to the 4-year, $100 million extension.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yep.
sense. So, did he request a trade? I think we talked about him requesting a trade out.
Yeah, well, he's been on the block. I think Tennessee. I don't know if Tennessee is selling.
Yeah, because
Obviously,
we
they
were
let
talking about
Julio.
them. We were talking about them spending money on Derrick Henry, and that's probably why AJ Brown requested a trade.
Yeah,
So now
man, I
he
wish
gets that
Green Bay made a move.
extension with Philly. Philly gets a good wide receiver, solid wide receiver.
Eagles might be the team out of the East. The Eagles are looking good. I felt like every year they've been improving just enough. And I'm not going to say that a receiver makes the difference, but AJ Brown's to me is a damn good receiver. What did they draft? Oh, yes, they got Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia. Which shout out to Georgia for having, I think, a record-breaking number of
Yeah,
draft picks in the draft. Jordan Davis is going to be good. They improve defensively. They go out. They make the trade for the receiver. The run game, we'll see what ends up happening there. We don't really know what's going to happen. Miles Sanders and that whole running back by committee. But Jalen Hurts, this is his moment. Jalen Hurts has been criticized for not being able to complete games. His stats look good, but he just doesn't win enough. They go out and get you a star receiver. The defense is already doing its thing. Think this is going to be the Eagles' year, this year or next. But if between now and year 3, if we look at it this way, I don't see Jalen Hurts really starting. If they continue to be sub 500 or barely 500, to me, this is a team that should go out and win at least 10 games.
I definitely like that move. And we actually get to see if Jalen Hurts is good or bad. Because I think there's rumors about them either getting a quarterback or drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, there's been rumors. There's definitely been rumors. I know that they I don't know if they've been actually shopping, but there's always been rumors with like Jordan Love isn't one of them, but there's been other quarterbacks. And so like the Eagles always pop up as a team where you're like, well, we have an athletic quarterback, but who's going to win us games? I still think Jalen Hurts I think he has a grand opportunity, especially now, to showcase not only his athleticism but that arm. I
Yeah,
think
that
part
he's
of the
good enough for the future.
that's what
Like,
and
like
that's the
he's
big
decent
thing.
enough now. It's just teams don't know if he could be their quarterback in 10 years.
And I think he can. I think he's a gamer. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna do what he's got to do. It's been rough. I mean, it's been rough playing in the NFC East, let alone with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like they haven't had the best receiving core. Their best receiver left a couple years ago, and Alshon Jeffrey. I don't even know who's been their best receiver since then. They have guys who drop passes,
They
and
drafted
Nelson
Jalen
Aguilar,
Rager over Justin Jefferson.
who ended up being okay compared to elite Justin Jefferson, Mr. LSU himself. So I think with this AJ Brown trade, they got one back for him. I think this is going to be big time. I think this will be huge. AJ Brown's been elite. He's been elite.
And with speaking of the quarterbacks being drafted, going back to Tennessee, they drafted another quarterback. They drafted Malik Willis. I don't think he was
Yeah.
that high of a pick anyways. But the fact is they did go out. They drafted a quarterback in the third round, 22nd pick. Ryan Tannehill, we've seen him win. We've seen him be decent at games. I think his age is starting to get there. He's been around the league for quite a bit. I know Fitzgerald has. He's only 33, Tannehill. But again, is he going to be good for years to come? And I think that contract that they signed with Derrick Henry is starting to hurt them. Paying running backs might be one of the worst things you could do in the NFL today.
That's why nobody does it.
That's why normally teams that do go out and spend the big bucks with the running backs are teams that are like at the end of their window, or it's normally just okay teams. Like they have a younger quarterback that they don't have to pay yet. They have like an older, a younger core that could be playoff eligible, and they have a really weak running back core. But it's like I think the Saints, didn't they give Kamara a big contract?
Kamara got a big contract. Yeah,
So
he
like
definitely got a big contract.
they're one of the outliers there.
But see, I look at Kamara as like a two-way player.
Okay.
Kind of like Christian McCaffrey. Like, well, I assume he's gonna get a deal. Maybe, maybe
That
not.
makes
He's been
sense.
rumored.
Straight running backs, like you can't really pay anymore.
Yeah, especially when Derrick Henry went down and we saw their backups kind of step up in a couple of games too. Because to me, your line still has to be good. Don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry is a damn good running back. A lot of these guys are good running backs, but generally the running back's a product of the scheme. We see it all the time.
Now, I was talking about Henry being the big money guy. He's getting paid $15 million, which is still a lot for a running back, especially when you can get a rookie or whatever that produces work. I didn't realize Tannehill is at $38 million on the cap.
That's crazy to me. He was never that good. He's never been that good. Miami, Tennessee, they start winning. See, but those wins go on the resume. He's the quarterback. Everybody looks at the quarterback for that. I think,
Yeah.
what about what Tannehill said about Malik Willis? That he doesn't want to mentor him, but if he learns along the way, then great. Kurt Warner had something bad, some things to say about that. I think I get where he's coming from, but why give that impression when you have a rookie coming to your team?
Why give it out in public?
Why give it out in why even have that mentality? Like, to me, if I'm his age and I've been there, done that so many years, and you're coming on for my franchise, unless Tannehill has this disconnect with the franchise that we don't know about. But why would you? I mean, Brett Favre didn't do it. Aaron Rodgers didn't do it. He said, yeah, Jordan Love, cool. Don't give a damn. I'm still the man. But yeah, most teams are going to say, yeah, let's see what we got. Unless he's nervous about a quarterback competition. But bro, how old are you?
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to intimidate the young guy.
He only has 2 years left on his deal, this year, next year.
But the thing exactly. And another thing I'm thinking about too is with football, a lot of times those guys stick together, those positions, right? You got the quarterbacks working with the quarterbacks coach. You got the running backs that stick together. They all know each other. They do their thing. The receivers with the receivers and everybody else. So, I mean, why make it awkward for that quarterback that's coming on? I mean, okay, whatever. I don't know if Ricky Hazing's a thing, but like publicly say it, you look like a jackass. I would embrace the opportunity for a good quarterback to come in, a young quarterback to help show him the way for the future of the league, but also to kind of spark a little competition too, because you want that. Like, why wouldn't you want to better yourself no matter the age? So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Definitely. And yeah, you shouldn't make that out like a public event, especially now.
Just weird.
Just be happy he got drafted. They did say he congratulated him after he did get drafted. But it's just a weird public comment. He probably was like, I don't know how many questions he's actually gotten asked about that. Maybe that was like the 10th question he finally got asked.
And he was
finally like, guys, I'm not here to mentor him. Like, he wants to learn. Ask me about me, myself.
Or the game or something. Yeah, something. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. We take what the media says. So, and the media, obviously, we know, likes to report on the juicy stuff, if you will. I think that's it for the. Well, what was your takeaway on the Bears draft? I had a takeaway on the Packers draft. I thought it was okay, actually, minus not really attacking the receiving core.
The Bears draft, I didn't keep up too much with it, but based off what I was reading, is Ryan Pohl's first draft was a safe one. There's a new quarterback or a new coach. new GM. It was a safe one. They drafted a cornerback. They drafted a safety. They got a wide receiver who was projected to be well. I liked how so many trades happened with the Bears. They only had 5 picks. They ended up with 11 different players.
Yep.
But they drafted an offensive tackle, a guard. They drafted another guard. They drafted a center. They drafted a running back, another defensive back. They drafted a punter, which should be good. I think he's the replacement for O'Donnell. But they drafted a lot of safe picks in O-line. O-line was a huge gap, per se, like a huge need. And instead of going the Matt Nagy, like, let's get all these flashy players and run this sick offense, they want Justin Fields to feel safe. They're going to run a simple system, get him a little more adjusted to the league. He doesn't have to run all these crazy plays. Just make sure he's safe. He doesn't get hit every other play. And next year, when some of these O-line guys show out, and they drafted 2 O-line last year with Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borum, they can focus on the positional guys that will help them win more games.
I think I trust the Bears' new front office, new GM. I trust them. I think what they did was good. They went out, they got key positions right away. They got cornerback, they got safety. We can't act like their defense. I know as much as a lot of Bears fans are like, oh, why are they ignoring the receivers and this and that? It's like, listen, the defense is just as bad. The defense is not great. The secondary, let me put it this way, their secondary is not as great. They attack the secondary. They get a solid defensive back. They get a solid safety. So, and then, of course, they do end up getting a receiver in the 3rd round. May or may not be good. I have no idea who Velus Jones Jr. is. Maybe I'll know after this year. But then they stack up with offensive tackles. They get a center. They get a guard. I feel like at this point, they were like, look, we're going to load up. We're going to run a system. And one of these guys are going to thrive. Maybe 2 of these guys are going to thrive in our system. So another year for Fields. Some new guys coming out, some fresh legs. We'll see what they do. Obviously, you never know. You never know. But I think it was an okay draft. I don't think it was bad considering they didn't have a 1st-round pick. Green Bay, on the other hand, I thought had a hell of a draft. They ended up with 2 1st-round picks, courtesy of the Devontae Adams trade. First pick number 22, they get Quay Walker from Georgia, linebacker, stud. I was surprised. I was actually surprised at most of their picks. I actually had to go do a little bit of research to figure out who the receiver was that they drafted. Round 2, pick 2, Christian Watson. A lot of good things to say. North Dakota State receiver. So I was happy about that. I think Green Bay knows what they're doing. I still think they need to grab a receiver just to be on the safe side. I don't know if did Odell sign. I don't even think Odell signed yet. I think their teams are still weighing out with the injury and because he just had the surgery. There's guys out there. Trades could still happen. Trades can happen from here until week 8, week 9 for the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens. But I thought that they did an excellent job at attacking because obviously Zadarius Smith is gone. I was like, wow, well, they let him go. And I thought he's been excellent minus a couple injuries here and there, minor. Like, what are they going to do? They go out and grab 2 in the 1st round. Georgia Bulldogs, defensive studs, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle. And just looking at the team, at the defense alone, I mean, you have Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Devondre Campbell, who just had a hell of a year, inside linebacker, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary's, I still think, pretty solid. Now you factor in Jair Alexander, you factor in Eric Stokes, rookie from last year, Adrian Amos, or Amos, if you will. I thought he's been pretty good for Green Bay coming over from Chicago, and obviously Darnell Savage, who's had his games too. For Green Bay, my biggest takeaway is we probably had arguably one of the best teams in the NFL last year, and they lost because their offense was horrible. Does this receiver that they grabbed, does he replace Devontae Adams? Probably
No.
not. Skill-wise, system-wise, he might. There's always those guys that fit right into the system. You know, we've had the Greg Jennings, we've had the Donald Drivers, Jordy Nelson, so on and so forth. So maybe he's a good system receiver. Allen Lazard did okay last year. I think right now he's number 1 on the depth chart, which kind of scares me. But if they can make one more move, that'll solidify them back in that top-ish spot, top 3 in the NFC. If they can make one more move, I think their defense just got better. Green Bay with a good defense, to me, is like, I can't even think of a team that's like the Rams to me. The Rams considerably have one of the best defenses, and then boom, you get slapped in the face with their solid offense. So maybe that's the route they're taking with this draft, but I loved it. I actually loved it.
And we'll just have to wait and see. Now there's a few months until we actually get game action.
Yes.
That's the toughest part about the NFL. It like ends. There's like not much that goes on for a couple months. You get the draft, you get your new players, and then it's like, all right, you got to wait 3 months or so before you actually see them in action.
I have 2 months before fantasy football starts up. 2 months. And then I stare at my lineup for about another 2 months. So it's definitely a long waiting game, but be interesting to see once summer camps start rolling through what they say about the young talent around the league, and spring training. Or I'm sorry, preseason will be August. So it's there. It's around the corner.
We'll end off the podcast with the NBA. The Grizzlies, dude. I jinxed the Timberwolves in the last podcast episode.
You jinxed the whole series. Dude, I can't believe how they failed. They literally folded. They had how many 10-plus point leads, or 12 or something crazy?
They had 3 losses that had 3 of their 4 losses. They were up 10-plus points, which has never happened before in a series.
And Cat walking off like he just played the series of his life. Come on.
Dude, I jinxed them so bad. It was on the last episode I said, "Oh, they got this win. They should easily win the next game. Like they should have already won the series."
Yeah.
And they blew every game.
It was tough. It was such a fun series to watch. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Timberwolves' future, if they can keep that core,
their end game just sucked. Their shot attempts and defense compared to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies also got 17 offensive rebounds one game because of how they play. But the Timberwolves, I saw Anthony Edwards put up like kind of like a hook shot type shot and clanked. Pat Beverly took like a big shot late in the game, clank. I think they were too young of a team, and it's just not time for them. So unfortunate.
They need help. Outside of Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns,
Russell sucked. Russell
is not it. I personally, I'm not saying that they should trade him. I don't know the details of his contract. This is his second year in the league with them. Well, he got traded midway through 2019. So this is his 3rd season. So I don't know the details of his contract, but I do know that it doesn't seem to work with this team. I think that they need a more pure point guard. They need someone that's like a Drew Holiday or I don't want to say Chris Paul because that's too cliche, but someone that's going to be pretty good on defense, good perimeter defense, be a solid body, and a guy that just doesn't have to shoot. I mean, we're talking 7 points in game 6, 12 in game 5, 10 in game 4. We're talking 3 of 12 for shooting. It just is. He doesn't get to the line. I just don't. I don't know. He's just a point guard with good couple good guys around him. I don't look at him. I mean, D'Lo's a good point guard, but I feel like for me, I've always looked at him like a shooting guard. When he was with the Lakers,
Yeah.
when he was with Brooklyn,
He's not a
his little
takeover type guy.
no, I mean he has it randomly. He has some takeover games, but he's just not it. And even with Golden State for that little, what did he play? Half a season with them before he got traded. I still looked at him as like a two guard,
Yeah.
not really a facilitator. So I don't know what the issue is there, but I do know that they improved a lot. Anthony Edwards only going to get better. Karl Anthony Towns is playing good. I like the team. I just don't, man. Anthony Towns was in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls in 3 games. That's rough. That's rough. But we can't discredit Memphis. They're a damn good basketball team. I mean, they're starting off right now as we're talking. They're up 8-1 to start the first quarter against
And
Golden
they
State.
barely lost game 1 against Golden State.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a team that's battling that. This is a team that clicks. When John Morant's out, they still win games. They don't rely on the one guy. So Memphis might be the squad. Although I still think Golden State's going to win. Memphis is going to be the future. They're definitely the future.
So, yeah, we had a couple series start up over the weekend. Did the Utah series end? Utah and Dallas, or before the last episode? I don't think so, because I think it went 6 games.
Yeah.
So the Utah Jazz are out of the playoffs, and it looks like one or the other of Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert, they're out.
They're gone. One of them's gone. If they want to truly rebuild, they could just trade them both. Not going to happen. Donovan Mitchell's
Zach
still super
LaVine
young.
sign and trade.
I saw a rumor for that for Donovan Mitchell, and I just don't see the
I don't know
point.
if I want Mitchell. The past 3 years or so, he's kind of like, he hasn't gotten better. He's gotten worse with his numbers.
Yeah, he scores, but he shoots so much to get those points because they honestly don't have any other offensive talent. Rudy Gobert, we know, is strictly just a body in the paint. He's just a guy who grabs a lot of rebounds. And I don't even want Rudy Gobert on the Bulls, but at this point, we need a center that can just stay in the paint. But yeah, they ended up losing the series to Luka and the Mavericks in 6 games. And I thought that the Mavericks actually were doing pretty well against this Utah. I had Utah winning that series in I think 7 games, but Luka missed the first couple of games, and Utah still couldn't do anything. Jalen Brunson was too much. Dorian Finney-Smith, for his numbers, when you look at his like average, you're like, but when you watch him play, he kind of is coming on as like almost like a Michael Bridges. Mikal Bridges with the Suns, where the first couple of years you're like, oh, he's all right, he can shoot the ball, whatever. Now he's coming on strong. I think that's where Finney-Smith is going to end up going. I know that's why they paid him. So, but unfortunately, they have to play Phoenix in this next series, who took a 1-0 lead already, despite Luka scoring a bunch of points.
Yeah, he scored 40 points, and I get they lost by like 8 points, but they were losing big for most of the game.
Most of the game, yeah. It was a dominant game. Luka got crossed over by Devin Booker at one point, and he got ripped up by JaVale McGee, who took it coast to coast for the slam. Phoenix, I maybe 5 games. They might go 5. Milwaukee and Boston tied at 1 now. Boston had a commanding lead against Milwaukee, which is huge because they lost game 1 at home. Game 2, you don't lose at home. You can't. So they're going back to Milwaukee for a series for 2 games before coming back to Boston.
Marcus Smart was out tonight, too.
He was. Jaylen Brown had takeover. He had like 25 in the first half. Nuts. And then Miami and Philly, Joel Embiid's missing at least first 2 games. Miami took 1-0 lead. Without Joel Embiid, who broke his face from an elbow by Pascal Siakam, concussion protocol, orbital fracture. They're saying at least 2 games, probably going to be more. If he can clear concussion protocol, cool. Might see him with a mask on then. even then, Miami's tough. Miami's tough. I maybe if Embiid can come back and win a couple games, maybe then I'd say 6 games. But I'm saying 5. I'm saying 5
Especially
in
with
this
James
series.
Harden not playing well.
He's
Still,
doing okay. You know, they in the second quarter they took the lead at one point, and I was like, okay, they're flowing. Maxi's looking good. Tobias Harris is stepping up, playing the big man role a little bit. But then, like once Miami started clicking again, it was just a wrap from that point. So
they're a very good team, like team ball, because you see Jimmy Butler not shoot the best, Kyle Lowry okay, but they still win by a bit.
yeah,
Everyone
especially
on
with
the team
Lowry.
contributes.
Yeah, Lowry was hurt. He missed game one. Jimmy Butler scored 15 points after having a huge series against Atlanta. Didn't matter because Tyler Hero steps up. He drops 25. Bam Adebayo, who's generally not a big scorer, had 24 points on 8 of 10 shooting, which is big time. 12 boards. To me, Miami is the more complete team. With Embiid there at 100%, do I think Philly has a chance? Absolutely. I think they could take them 6, 7 games. But with Embiid being hurt and he's missing a couple of games, if he does come
And he
back,
even has a hand injury.
yeah, and he's got a torn ligament in the hand. From Philly, I'm not saying just give up because it's not worth it. Because if they can get past Miami, I think they can compete against Milwaukee or Boston. But man, they're gonna need Embiid come back game 3 and forward. I just don't see them winning without Embiid any games. Any game, they're too undersized. DeAndre Jordan is older. He's trying to
And
step
Doc
into that
Rivers
role.
still wants to play him.
They like him. He said, "We like him." I mean, you need the body out there. Unfortunately, you can't just play the small guy. If you play like the Bulls, you play small, you're gonna get killed every time, especially against a team like Miami that's very scary on defense and a very physical, gritty team.
Yeah,
So,
they're very good athletically.
yeah, they just have the right pieces everywhere. So, I mean, we talked about it in the beginning of the season. We liked Miami. I always thought Miami going into this season with their moves, especially with Oladipo coming back and playing the minutes. I think that they're the most complete team right now out of the East, and I think that if Milwaukee keeps it going. I don't know, man. If Boston takes out Milwaukee, maybe we got to take Boston seriously. I don't know. I'm not ready for it yet.
I don't know what I think about with Miami. Maybe it's because they don't have like a true superstar. Jimmy Butler is getting paid a lot. But like even in 2020 when they made the NBA finals, in the bubble, I didn't really consider them like a team I could picture winning the NBA championship. And they're again this year, I just don't see it. Like I understand they were the number 1 seed. They finished there for a reason. They're so good defensively. They beat teams with having different people outscore other teams every single game. But it just doesn't click in my brain. It's not like Giannis winning the NBA championship with that solid core around him, or even the Suns last year, Chris Paul and Devin Booker were like decent sized names. I don't know.
I think the
It feels
biggest
weird.
thing
I think it's kind of like the Grizzlies as well. But
is
the Grizzlies have
we
John
look at the
Morant.
teams that are highlighted. You look at
Jason Tatum and
Jason
Jaylen
Tatum,
Brown,
yeah,
Giannis, Joel Embiid and James Harden. You
the
look at
Bulls now
Luka,
even
Steph
Luca,
Curry.
yeah. I mean, all these teams in the playoffs, and then you're like, oh, it's Miami, where everybody in the lineup might not be a top 3, top 5 guy, but they're all top 12, top 15. So like, but that goes overlooked though because of the superstar status. But that's what makes
Yeah.
them so good. They have a coach that's been coaching the team forever, that's
And
won
Eric
championships.
Spoelstra, yeah, he is one of the most underrated coaches in NBA history.
Granted, do I believe he's been blessed with some damn good teams? Yes. But if you look at this roster going into any of the last couple of seasons, I'm not picking them as my top 4. But seeing what they're doing over the last couple of seasons, that's why I'm like, okay, they're a top 4. Bam Adebayo is the truth. Tyler Hero stepped it up. I didn't think he had it in him. Jimmy buckets, obviously. I mean, there was a lot of games in the regular season where you're like, man, his offense is kind of deteriorating. No, he's good. He's still good. So I like Miami. I like Miami a lot. I'm ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. That's what I'm ready for, and the West. Although Golden State and Memphis is going to be a good series, I'm gonna have to watch that one tonight. It's currently on, just started in the first quarter, so it's definitely a close game already.
I'm definitely going to tune into that as well. Next week, though, we'll have more baseball talk, more playoff talk. I've loved watching the NBA playoffs this year. I'm glad I have that drive to like watch games again. Because as you know, the mid 2010s, I think all the 2010s, it kind of got repetitive with what we saw. And this year, there's so many great series and teams in the NBA at the moment. The parity's there. I'm excited for next week to come around so we can talk about it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that being said, make sure you guys are following us on our social media, SR Only Pod. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Follow our personal accounts on my Goose with 4 O's.
I am at the Healy 6 on Twitter and Instagram. You have a wonderful week. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.